Romeo and Juliet, Act 2, Scene 1 and 2, discussion. So Scene 1 is really short. It's where Romeo and his friends are leaving the Capulet party, and Mercutio is basically making fun of Romeo. And Romeo is like, "Ugh, can I go forward when my heart is here? Turn back, dull earth, and find thy center out." Like, I can't go. I can't leave my love, my Juliet. So he's not going to go with his friends. He's actually going to try to go find Juliet. And Mercutio is making fun of him because Mercutio can't find him. And he's like, "Oh, I bet you went to go be with a lover, thy quivering thigh," which is a dirty joke. And he basically, Mercutio makes all these allusions to, Venus, which is going to be the Roman name for Aphrodite, the goddess of love. He even blames it on Cupid, who would have been Aphrodite's son. We all know who Cupid is. That's Greek mythology. And then scene 2 starts off with Romeo. Just think about how he is like hiding in a tree from his friends, and he hears Mercutio making fun of him, and he's like, he jests at scars that never felt a wound. Like Romeo is saying, he's making fun of me when I haven't even had time to heal. Durka durka, Romeo. Like, you're moving on so fast from Rosaline that you're not gonna have time to heal. And so scene 2 is the famous balcony scene. And so Romeo is basically, he crawls over the orchard wall, finds Juliet's balcony, and he is hiding in the bushes watching Juliet at her balcony. And she has no idea, y'all. She is clueless that Romeo is standing there. And so Romeo, he says, "But soft, what light through yonder window breaks? It is the east, and Juliet is the sun. Arise, fair sun, and kill the envious moon, who is sick and torn with grief." Okay, so in this famous soliloquy, which a soliloquy is a very long speech by one character on stage that reveals his or her most inner feelings. So in this speech, in this soliloquy, Romeo is saying, "Oh my gosh, look, Juliet is the light, and the envious moon needs to kill her." And so he's going back to this whole light versus darkness idea. And so he's listening to her talk, and she goes, "Amy," and he's like, "Oh my gosh, he speaks. Speak again, bright angel." Then he compares her to a goddess, as is a winged messenger of heaven, unto the white upturned wandering eyes of mortals that fall back to gaze on him when he bestrides the lazy puffing clouds and sails upon the bosom of air. So y'all, Romeo is comparing Juliet to a goddess. Is it achievable to become a goddess? No, it's not. So this is really important that Romeo is putting Juliet on what we call a pedestal. She's literally above him on a balcony, and he's already putting her above him. He's literally, that'd be like your boyfriend saying, "Oh man, you're as beautiful as Beyonce," yada, yada, yada. Like, ain't nobody got time to touch Beyonce's beauty, okay? So basically, he's giving her an ethereal, which means like spiritual. He's giving her a spiritual task to achieve, which is to be a goddess, which is not achievable. So he's already like giving her standards that she just can't do. And so this is another reason their relationship's not going to work out and they're star-crossed lovers. But anyways, so next is Juliet's speech. "O Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou Romeo? Deny thy father, refuse thy name, and if thou wilt be but sworn my love, and I'll no longer be a Capulet." All right, so this is one of the most mistranslated lines in Shakespeare. "O Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou Romeo?" And if we were in class right now, I would say, "What does this mean?" And you guys would say, "Where's Romeo?" She's like, "Where is my Romeo?" Nah, wrong. Okay. She's not saying, "Where is Romeo?" She's saying, "Oh, Romeo, Romeo, why are you Romeo? Like, why do you have to be a Montague? Why does your last name have to be the last name of my enemy?" And so this famous speech is called "What's in a Name?" because she even says, "What's in a name? That which we call a rose by any other name would smell as sweet." So Romeo were he not Romeo called to attain that dear perfection which he owes without that title? Romeo, doff thy name, and for thy name, which is no part of me, take all myself. And so Juliet is literally like talking about her feelings out loud and how much she loves Romeo. And Romeo's hearing all of this, and it wasn't intended for Romeo to hear this because he's creeping, remember? And so when she says, get rid of my name and Romeo have me, that's when Romeo pops out of the bushes and he's like, I take thee at thy word. Call me but love and I'll be new baptized. Henceforth, I will never be Romeo. So he's like, hey, baby, I'll be whatever you want me to be. I'll change my name to Big Bird if you want it. I'll be whatever you want me to be. I just won't be your enemy, Romeo. And so here goes the rest of the balcony scene. And so basically, I'm just going to try to sum it up real fast what happens at the balcony scene. Juliet's like, Romeo, how did you get here? And Romeo is like, love helped me fly over the orchard walls. Well, Romeo, how did you know where my room was? Oh, love showed me the way. Romeo, what if thy kinsman here finds you and kill you? Oh, Romeo says, I have thy cloak of love to cover me and hide me. This fool, y'all. This fool. Anyways, so moving on. Juliet's like, oh, you know what? I think maybe I was being too brash and too honest, and I didn't mean to say all that and for you to hear it. And Romeo says, oh, you know what? I love you, Juliet. I do. And so, hold on, my computer's about to die. Ooh. Okay. Let's plug her in. Okay. All right. Now we good. All right. So, where were we? Okay. And then Romeo says right here, this is so important. Starting at line 80, he talks about how if Juliet were an adventure, he would go for such merchandise. And so this is another problem that we have with Romeo and Juliet and this whole idea of a theme and a woman being an object, because Juliet is objectified, especially by her father, and now she's being objectified by Romeo, who wants to be with her. But Romeo calls Juliet merchandise. Like, I would venture for such merchandise. Oh, yeah. Does she fall for that? Yeah, but girls, please don't ever fall for that. And so, long story short here is Juliet says, you know what? I didn't mean for you to hear me. Maybe I should have played hard to get. And then Romeo was like, oh, no, like, I'll swear by whatever you want me to swear by. And he's like, I swear by the moon that I love you. And Juliet's like, oh, bruh, like, the moon? Why the moon? The moon is so inconstant and it changes all the time. Are you really going to swear your love on the dang moon? And Romeo was like, well, what do you want me to swear on? And Juliet's like, you know what? And this is very important, y'all. She goes, don't swear. I have no joy in this tonight. It is too rash, too sudden, too unadvised, too like the lightning which doth cease to be. One can ere it lightens. Y'all, she is telling Romeo goodnight. Like, she is not going to entertain this idea of being together with him for right now. She's like, we are moving way too fast, Romeo. And Romeo says, oh, will you leave me so unsatisfied? Just like a teenage boy would. And so Juliet's like, well, what satisfaction do you want from me? Like, you literally just heard me confess my feelings about you on this balcony. And he's like, thy faithful hand for mine. Like, let's get married. And then Juliet's like, oh my God, that's the most romantic thing ever. Yes, Romeo, let's get married. Which of course they think it sounds like a tremendous idea, like a fabulous idea. And then y'all, this balcony scene is forever long. And so, but Juliet's getting called inside by nurse and she's like, be Romeo, I'll be right back. Love you, bye. So I call this like the longest hang up scene ever. It's like, I love you. No, I love you more. You hang up. No, you hang up. You hang up first. I love you. No, I love you more. It goes on forever. So they end up talking about how Nurse is going to meet Romeo the next day and figure out how they can get married. And so that's where we end this final scene.